What's up, soldiers? Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen with me. Today we are doing a frittata with leftover ground provisions. In the event you guys wondering where all that noise is coming from, we've got Zaire, and Zaire is cooking. Well, I don't know what he's got with his wheelbarrow in here as well too. Yo, bro, Pali, oi, Omi. Well, let's see what he's cooking. He's got goldfish up in there. So if you guys wondering where that noise is coming from, it is coming compliments of this guy. Now, as far as the ingredients are concerned, I've got the leftover ground provision over here, and that is some Edo, some sweet potato, and some green cooking banana. If you watched that video I dropped a few days ago, you will see how we came to this. Head over, check that video out. But we've got some prepared salted cod, and all you would do is you would boil it or soak it in water, and then squeeze it, rinse it, and then shred it up into like pieces like that. I've got a sharp cheddar cheese, parsley, thyme, scallion, bell pepper, sweet pepper. I've got my eggs. I've got 5 medium-sized eggs. I'm gonna go with some black pepper in there. We'll need some butter, and I've got some cream. I'm gonna add some cream to the eggs. Because there's gonna be some remaining salt in the salted cod, I will not be adding any salt to this. Plus, the ground provisions over here, again, sweet potato, Edos, and green cooking bananas. If you have yam, if you have just about any sort of anything, cassava, it will work. It's been boiled in salted water as well. And again, I do apologize for the noise. Zaire is doing his thing, and this is my home. This is his kitchen as well as it's mine. So I've got my frying pan here, and I'm using a non-stick pan because it's going to be easier to remove from the pan later on. Preheat your oven to 425, so 425 degrees, and we're going to go in with a couple tablespoons of salted butter. Just going to move that around, and we're going to start everything here. Once it sets in here, then we're going to move over to the oven. Now, a quick little tip: as the butter melts, I want to, especially down where the rivets are, I want to move that melted butter on the sides as well, because that's going to help with removing the frittata later on. So it's nice and melted now. So here's where I'm going to go in with the bell peppers, the scallions, the prepared salted cod, and I use boned or what's called boneless salted cod. But even though I did use that, I also made sure and went through to make sure there are no bones that may have missed and snuck in there. The last thing we want is somebody enjoying this lovely frittata, and boom, a saltfish bone gets stuck in your throat, wedged in there. You have to end up going to the emergency room, and it's just not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Forget the pain, the embarrassment, and everything else, and the taking your time out to go into that hospital. Boy, I'm telling you. So let me avoid that. Go through it. Make sure there's no bones. I'm going to turn my heat down to low and let that simmer on that slow heat there, just to pull out all those flavors. As that happens, you want a nice dose of fresh ground black pepper in here. And you can use a whisk or whatever, but I'm just using a fork. I'm just going to give that a quick little whisk. I'm also going to hit this with a bit of black pepper. Fresh ground is so much nicer. And I like adding a bit of cream. And that just makes it nice and light. It makes it nice and fluffy. And that's it for the eggs. Notice I didn't put any salt in here because, as I said, the remaining salt in that salted cod will be enough to really make this nice. The other thing we're going to go in here with, boom, some of that cheese. We want to whisk some of that cheese in there so you're getting that cheesy goodness on the inside, on the top, everywhere. We reserve some of that cheese for topping it, but that is where we are with the eggs. If you wanted to put a little touch of grated nutmeg in here, that would be delightful as well. Now, as far as the ground provision is concerned, I took it out of the fridge about 30 minutes ago. I'm just cutting it up into small sort of bite-sized pieces. That was the green cooking banana. This is the Edo's, and I'm just going to cut it up into small pieces like so. So a sort of a biteful or a spoonful or what, forkful, whatever you want to call it. And that is all we're doing with the sweet potato. Same idea, small pieces. And this is a sort of a one pot, sort of everybody having a nice little time eating this. It's been about 4 minutes, so I'm just going to give it another quick stir. And we've got a that salted cod, man, I think this adds a lovely flavor to just about everything. Now, if you don't have salted cod, if salted cod is not your thing, and you wanted to use bacon, if you want to use pancetta, if you wanted to use any sort of smoked meat, you can certainly do that. Now, here's where we're going to add the cubed up ground provision, and again, you can use whatever ground provision you like. If if all fails and all you have is just plain old potato, you can rock that. I want to coat the pieces of provision with that flavored butter that we have on the bottom there. Let's move that around like so. Lift up everything and just give it a nice little toss, yeah? And you can make this with more eggs, with more ground provision. It's just Pali and I today, Zaire. So the two of us will be eating this, and that is one of the reasons why I didn't put any Scotch bonnet pepper in here. If you wanted to put Scotch bonnet pepper in here, see, he's excited to eat. If you wanted to put some Scotch bonnet pepper or habanero or anything, I mean, this is your thing, rock that. I'm gonna turn my heat up to medium high now. Give that another little shaky shake, and this is where we're gonna introduce that cheesy egg mixture, and we're gonna move it around in there like so. Pull that in there so, and we're gonna scrape down the sides. I have some chopped up parsley. I'm gonna hit some of that chopped up parsley in there. And you all know I love my little herbal notes, so I also have some fresh thyme. I'm just going to pull that back and sprinkle it all in there. And we're just going to allow this to sort of set up here. And then into that preheated oven middle rack. And I'll show you a trick to get a nice color on it later on. It's starting to set, so I'm just going to move that down the sides a little bit. Just like so. If you wanted to add more eggs in there, you can certainly do that. You can completely cover it with eggs. The reason why I didn't completely cover it with eggs is because in the oven it's going to come up a bit more. It's going to puff up. Plus, I want people to see the pieces of ground provision I have in there. Just before we put it into the oven, we got to hit it with some more cheese. You guys thought I was done with the cheese, eh? Remember, we sort of held back on some of that cheese. But don't overdo it, please. You know what I mean? To your liking, but I mean to say, we ain't trying to over cheese it. It's not a cheese omelette, it is a frittata. Well, Uncle Chris's version of a frittata with ground provision. Into the oven now. Remember, you need something that's heat proof, so that my handle, my pot, everything here is heat proof. 425 middle rack. 15 minutes in, and here's where we at. You want to get some more color on there. Now is where you're going to put it back into the oven, but turn the broil setting on your oven. Turn that on, and you got to keep an eye on it now because it's going to burn easily. We're just trying to develop some more nice color on the top. And there we go, 5 minutes under that broil setting. And yo, it's just pure niceness here. Just look at that wonderful color we got there. Let's give that a little shaky shake. And notice how it's moving around in that pan there? And that is why we used a non-stick pan. I'm going to allow this to cool down in there for a few minutes. So all we would do, hit them a little shaky shake. And as you shake, you would start putting it onto the board. See? Nice and clean. So easy to take out. Now if you wanted to put it onto a fancy serving plate, you can certainly do that. All you would do then is cut it like a pizza if you want. So you notice Uncle Chris just going down through there. A nice big wedge for Uncle Chris. And I know you guys want to see. Yeah, looking good, eh? What's up, soldiers? Listen, If you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me, email address down here. I mean, trying to tell people the email address, them butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pot. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. Irie. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure having you all here in the kitchen with me. We made a breakfast or brunch frittata using leftover ground provision. I'm sure you saw it here first. Now remember, I did one with fried plantains before. If you want to check that out, head over to youtube.com/CaribbeanPot or CaribbeanPot.com. Yo, bro. Hey, how does it feel to know that you can't cook like me? Your dish is lame-o. You need to talk to your grandma to help you out, man. So you're ignoring me now? Just because you can't cook like Uncle Chris. And what's with the lip?